Alrighty. So today is truly one of those days where there is nothing in my mind in terms of what I'm here to share about, what's present for us. And what came, just a beautiful awareness that came in as I was sharing that, was just the incredible time it is that we're alive, right? I think there are many of us, definitely many of us watching this video, that are on a spiritual path and that are already really awake and aware to the spiritual truth of this life, and have been taking advantage of a lot of the spiritual teachings that are available on the planet. But it's an incredible time that science is actually now starting to prove and validate some of the things that the sages, the gurus, the spiritual masters have been sharing for centuries. And I was really touched in just being aware in the moment of, and I do think the work that the Heart Math Institute is doing is just profound and so beautiful. It really anchors people into very practical ways to come into what I call the power of love, or the power of the heart. And I was reading a bunch this week in terms of how far they have been able to come in terms of measuring what happens both for us physiologically, but also what happens to someone in our energy field when we connect to this essence of loving, to kindness, to compassion, to appreciation, to a quality of service. And I'll just encourage you guys to Google it if you're inspired. But electromagnetically, right, there are all ways that they're now measuring the incredible positive benefits of when we're in this. But it's basically when you're in alignment, when your body is in alignment with the vibration, the energy of your heart. And they did, it's one of the more famous experiments that they've done, that they measured when a puppy comes into the room, right? What happens to people in terms of their own physiology, but also in terms of the love that goes out and the love that then actually has an effect on those people in the environment. So I've been blogging a little bit this week and just really kind of receiving in some ways why I'm here, or why I'm called to share this lovely little idea or experience called Allowing.Love. And I became very aware of just the phrase of the power of love. And I've been researching what various people have been saying about synchronicity, because as I've been doing more of a consistent daily practice, I have been really focused on how can I not only start my day in this essence, this vibration, right, of I'm for my life, I'm loving my life, I'm grateful for my life, I'm completely in flow with my life. And in reading about synchronicity, right, that seems to be the heart of how to really cooperate with spirit. And I have my own experience, and it's always so interesting to read, what other people are sharing about it, and also to both spiritual teachers, but also just other people having their own experience of this. And as much as we can be in that energy, that flow of I love everything, right? I love what is. I love this moment. I love what's going on. I'm for what's going on. I'm grateful for what's going on. When we're in that vibration, when we're in that frequency, we are in attunement with spirit. And therefore, when we're in flow, right, that is the core, the foundation of synchronicity. And in my experience, and definitely in terms of what it seems to be people's experience out there, is that when we are in that place, we're aware. Our eyes are open. And we're able to see the little signs that Spirit is giving us and nudging us towards maybe a dream or what we want more of. And we have those experiences of perfect timing, those coincidences of that I do use, right, as my little pats or my little encouragements from Spirit that's like, yeah, you're on the right track, right? Just keep going. Keep doing your best to be in this state of loving. Keep doing your best to open your eyes, really being present, aware with what is right now, and trust and move forward from that place.
Nice.
Yeah, so this phrase, and it was interesting, it really touched me during the week as I was researching and writing about it. But I get, I don't know, I hope there is no person on the planet that doesn't have an experience of the power of love and what that does. And I think in so many ways, it's easy to polarize this world in terms of spiritualness. But in my experience, someone that I'll say it this way. I had an experience the other day where I was walking down the street and there was a mother and a child, and there was just great loving, right? They were both present. They were both enjoying themselves. There was just great loving and great connection. It was clearly they were just really happy. And for me, that's just a profound spiritual experience. That is the Spirit alive and full and with them. And whether or not they have a spiritual belief system or not, in that moment, to me, doesn't matter. But that is the core of really of who we are. And I think that's why I call this program Allowing.Love. Because for me, and I don't know if it's the same for everyone, maybe the Spirit comes in more of in attunement with joy or with peace for other people. But for me, there isn't a word that works best in terms of spiritual alignment than love. And I had an incredible client session last night, and obviously because of confidentiality I won't reference that beautiful person, but I do know she may be watching. And we began to talk about just the power of unconditional loving and the importance of doing whatever we can to be in a place of unconditionally loving our life. And very practically that means how can we be aware of the judgments, the rules that we've placed on what and who deserves to be unconditionally loved, right? And so the experience that came up, well, I'll use another one for sake of confidentiality. But if I were to walk down the street and someone, a man, were to be scolding their child, and actually maybe being actually really cruel, and because we don't have all of the information, just really mean, right? It's really easy to have an experience of judgment, that they're wrong, they're bad, they're maybe even evil, but that they should be different. And in working with clients and working with myself, and I have to give credit to the clarity of this technology, to the University of Santa Monica. It's really where this technology was driven home for me. But whenever we come into an experience of this is wrong, this is bad, this is evil, or this should be different, right? We basically have an area in our energetic consciousness where we're not receiving the life force of Spirit. We're not allowing unconditional loving into this aspect of our experience, because we're all connected, right? We all have the capability to be mean, to be cruel, to be uncaring. And so what's really challenging, and what's really, for me, just the whole opportunity of being on this planet at this time, is how do we do whatever we can to learn how to unconditionally love the shitty stuff, right? The parts of us that aren't showing up the way that we'd want, or the Donald Trumps of the world that just look like complete prats. And it's so easy to judge them and make them wrong and make them evil, and to have an energy of disdain, or I'm not even sure how to describe that, but just an againstness. There is an energy of againstness that goes out, rather than having I'm for you, I love you, right? I hope you, and I think it's okay to have that in you. I hope you change, right? I hope you come into greater loving and awareness and better behavior. But I'm not going to stop loving you, because if I stop loving you, and if I make you bad and wrong and not okay as you are, then I'm limiting the full unconditional loving, the full experience of really allowing my whole life force, which in some sense can be called unconditional loving. I'm basically creating rules where I'm not lovable. Wow, well, it's gotten all very mental, and I love the theoretical side of this. I really love being aware of my judgments, and being aware of how can I free up more energy? How can I free up greater loving? And I have to say that that freeing up a few really, really big ones were the big game changers in my life. And what just immediately flashed was letting go of the judgment against sexual abuse, and specifically judgments against my sexual abuser, and also judgments against me for being sexually abused, right? Those judgments I held against myself as being wrong or bad for having been through that experience. And I can't express to you how fully that was a game changer. And that's not that might not be something that happens overnight. And maybe it might be for some people, but really allowing myself to really get close to that experience, to feel what that was for me, and to really open to being able to forgive, to truly knowing that we are all doing the best that we can. We're all fucking up, making mistakes, falling down, and this was something I shared with this beautiful client last night. I do believe that it's sometimes challenging to have that compassion and that patience and that tolerance, because we're unable to see how our past lives have also really influenced what's going on. And I just encourage us all to, in this moment, set a clear intention of just having as much unconditional loving as we possibly can for ourselves and for all things. And in my experience, that might lead us to come face to face with some pretty real judgments, right? Like, I don't believe it's okay that ISIS is going on. That's wrong, that's bad, that's evil, right? And I know how crazy this is going to sound to so many people, right? From one perspective, from this physical level, it's really easy to go, that's wrong, that's bad. And I'm not really talking from this physical level, but more from a spiritual perspective where our energy, our love exists. And if you want to be happier, if you want to have more love and joy, and I'm even going to be as bold to say success, flow, grace, the universe coming in to support you with what matters most to you, it's going to be of great service to let go of these judgments. And acceptance, awareness, observation, really being aware of them is the first key in my experience, right? It can be a really big jump to go from, maybe someone that killed your son, or someone that abused your dog, or someone that really hurt you and hurt people in your life, to jump from feeling and being in that space of allowing our unconditional loving to go to that and that experience, to that person and that experience. So there can be a few steps in there, and I've got a lot of resources on my website in terms of what's self-forgiveness and really how to go through that process. But I believe that it starts with a clear intention of just wanting more love and more grace, more joy, more happiness in our life. And I do believe that God will kind of pick up the rest of the slack, right? Give you whatever you need to work through these things. I'm feeling a little still inside.
I know it's just a line that's been coming up that I really love, which is, they know not what they do. And I also think it's just very true and purposeful to use that with myself, with the parts of me that don't know better, that haven't grown up yet. It's really a loving thing to say. It's like a child that doesn't know better. And there's like a surrendering to, you could say, like the ignorance of it, but also the innocence of it. If that makes any sense. I don't know why that word came forward. It's like even people who may do these horrible seeming things, there's just a lack of experience. And so, just to surrender to perhaps the truth that they really don't know better. And that's the best they're working with. That's truly the best they're working with at this time. And to me, that brings a lot of empathy and a lot of loving. More like, wow, if that's the best that you can do at this moment, or the best you're working with. And I have so much love and compassion for you and your process. Not in support of what they're doing, but in support of their growth and their learning. So it's a way to kind of let the righteousness go and be present with what is, and coming back into the loving for me. And I'm able to love that part of me more. Help it, like educate it in a sense. So when it's with myself, when it's with a part of me that doesn't know what it's doing, maybe it has an addiction, or it reacted in a way that I can sit down with it in a sense, if I take the time and educate it and love it and listen to it. Like, why is it doing this thing why is it in this unawareness? And how can I give it more loving? And it's usually the thing is that it does need more loving. It needs to know that it's okay and that it's doing the best it can. So I think just to take the time to do that for ourselves and even for others, because it makes me think of Opono Ono. Is that how you say it?
The hell Oponopono.
Opono. That saying, I love you, please forgive me, thank you, I don't know what the order is, but it's a really beautiful thing. So it's like the part of me that judges someone else. But in a sense, if we're all connected, if we're all in this together, there's that person inside of me, or that type of consciousness. And I can love it and forgive it inside of me. Because it's not really some distant person out there. So there's amazing things that we can do to lift and to serve ourselves and the world and God and spirit, whatever it is, and to bring greater loving forward if we take the time and attend to those places and really notice when, just be noticeful, be watchful, be aware, and make it important enough. I think that's for me. I need to make it important enough, just like doing the Allowing.Love every morning. Important enough to connect to this loving, important enough to talk to these places inside of me that don't know better. So I think that's all I got at the moment, but there's a lot of opportunity.
Yeah. Well, and I think that just really perfectly shines the light on, as predominantly mental beings or rational beings, right? We think that the answer is in the information, right? Once we hear it, like, we've got it, great, we're good. But in my experience, experience is where it's at, right? We need to continually come back to an experience of what these things are. And I just think it's just a profound opportunity, or just an exciting time to be alive, where some of these ideas are really hitting the mainstream. I think it's going to be, as much as there's such doom and gloom in terms of what's going on the planet, and I have great compassion for it, and I have great compassion and really feel that at times for the world, right? I don't mean to take any of this lightly, because there is horrific things.
Yeah.
On a real world level, there is just some really horrific things going on.
And it's not to excuse it at all. I noticed Kim's comment about consequences and accountability, and I completely agree. And it's not a passive thing. It's what we can do inside ourselves to get free and get back to the loving. And of course, there are actions we may need to take on a physical level to support ourselves and that may be a loving action.
Well, and I think that's really the importance of really being aware that there is a clear and parallel distinction here of what energy are we in, right? Mm-hmm. What is our awareness? What is our acceptance? What is our loving doing? And but then there is also the action that we take, right? Mm-hmm. I can do my best to come into acceptance and forgiveness and loving of someone that has harmed me. But am I also going to hold them accountable? And am I also going to take myself out of their life, perhaps for the rest of my life? Like, yes, and that's what I've done in a lot of experiences, but I don't want my hate, my againstness continue to go to them. So the energy, the invisible energy versus the physical world action are two very separate things.
Right.
And one, in my experience, really supports the other, right? If I'm in complete againstness and I just am like hating something, and I want to really move forward and change something, lift something, actually make a difference, they're probably not going to be very susceptible to me and what I want for them. If I'm in this just energy that no one can receive very well, I'm basically making you the devil, right? But if I come at something like, I'm loving the outcome that I want. I'm loving and for, not against what's going on, but I'm for the outcome, the loving outcome that I want. In my experience, more change is available. Action is more successful. And it is, right? This is most. I think it's hilarious how I always get myself in some hot water, but it truly is it's challenging to talk about this physical life as having a very clear and complementary spiritual reality and spiritual experience, and it's not easy to talk about very physical things from a spiritual perspective. And again, it's mostly because information doesn't do a lot. It's more an experience that's really going to be your guide into having an awareness and an understanding, a cooperation of these things. I guess the only way that I can, and that's why I talk about my own experience so much, right? Because, I can talk about clients or I can talk about what other people are saying, but it means something to me that, I was, say for example, just in a really bad way, or judging life, and really, like, my life just was getting worse when I was judging that my mum left and it wasn't okay, and that it was a terrible, bad, not okay, not supposed to happen thing. And it's just a very real experience that I have, that when I started to see that experience and see my whole life spiritually, and started to get that, wow, everything's for me, everything's supporting me in getting an experience of love in every single thing that happens, I can't deny that all of a sudden the sun came out. I stopped, I was able to let go of the drugs, the eating disorder, and just being really unhappy, and then my life just continued to go from good to better. So I don't care if anyone else buys into that. That's my experience. And that's why I share from my own experience so much. And I do struggle with my own judgments of what's the value and the purpose of having, like, the Zoe show or the Zoe and Eric show, right? I think we all have judgments of who are we to share something. Well, I'm going to own it for myself. I struggle. I'm challenged with my own judgments of who am I? What do I have to say? Why are you up there saying something, particularly when you put yourself there and no one asks you to? And I get to look at those parts inside of me that are judging that I'm not good enough, right? It's not okay. It's somehow bad or wrong to be shining the light on my own love, my own experience, my own beauty, my own overcoming. And so, again, I just get to continue to awaken and evolve and really allow more loving as that power, that fuel, that energy source to create, to live, to create just an incredible life.
That's funny. I was just going to say, I think one of the keys for me in dealing with these challenges, especially when it's maybe someone else or whatever is going on in life, is to do my best to not make a decision from part of me that is in the judgment or is in the anger or sadness or the reaction, and how can I get to the neutrality, to the loving, and then make a decision from there. And to me, that's always the most aligned and beautiful and miraculous decision I can make. And I know it's not the easiest thing. It's hard to say what's loving and what's not in this world, because some things really don't seem like a loving action, but we can't see what's behind all of it and how it's all playing out. So there's a surrendering to something greater inside. That's the best I do, is to get to the loving inside of me and see what happens.
Yeah. And I just have to say, if you're new to this, right, I think one of the big, really simple keys is just to come into acceptance of what is right now, right? And it can be pretty easy to find out what I'm not accepting. The challenge with not accepting is it's going on, right? It's taking place, so you're either in alignment and you're basically where you are, or you're basically saying that this isn't going on.
Right.
How can you move forward based
You're an illusion.
from a reality that you can't accept what is? And it's just one step of many in my experience, but It's a really powerful one. Well, I am just grateful to, I'm just grateful to you, Spirit, and I'm going to be bold enough to say that my biggest intention, or my biggest heartfelt dream for the Allowing.Love program is that it support people in getting a real, alive, active and direct relationship with their own loving inside. And if you call that energy spirit, if you call it Allah, if you call it the angels, if you call it source energy, if you call it your higher self, or if you just call it your spiritual heart or your love, it makes no difference to that energy. But that's I feel where all of the good stuff has come from in my life, my closeness, my intimacy, my relationship with spirit, with the love. And so I really it's my prayer, it's my intention that that this planet will fully awaken to that intimacy, that closeness, that support, that loving, that friendship that we have with spirit, the abundance of spiritual support that every soul on the planet has. So light to that. Alrighty, we will be back next Thursday at 9 a.m. I love you guys. Have an incredible day, a beautiful week, and I love you.
Love you guys.